John Mayall, an English musician who took blues and rock to new levels in the 60s and 70s, died at his home in California the last couple of days. No cause of death was released. The family issued a statement saying health issues that forced John to end his epic touring career finally led to peace for one of the world's greatest road warriors.
John Mayall, often hailed as the Godfather of British Blues, was a pioneering musician, band leader, and songwriter who left an unrevocable mark on the music world. Born in 1933, his career spanned more than 6 decades. In this video, we'll explore his extraordinary journey from humble beginnings to his status as a near-mythical blues icon. We'll also look at the circumstances surrounding his recent passing at 90, revealing the heartbreaking story behind the loss of this music legend. Early life and musical beginnings.
John, from Macclesfield to Mississippi.
No, Macclesfield is rubbish. It crops up everywhere, like I'm from Macclesfield. In actual fact, I was only there for the time it took to give birth.
John Mayall was born November 29, 1933, in Macclesfield, Cheshire, England. His early life was steeped in music, largely thanks to his father, Murray Mayall, a guitarist who played in local pubs. In a touch of irony that would befit a blues musician, Mayall once quipped, quote, "The only reason I was born in Macclesfield was because my father was a drinker, and that's where his favorite pub was." Growing up in Cheadle-Hulme, young John was drawn to the sounds of American blues players. He found himself captivated by the recordings of artists like Leadbelly, Albert Ammons, Pinetop Smith, and Eddie Lang. Mayall's father not only introduced him to live music, but also had a collection of 78 RPM records that became a treasure trove for the budding musician. The boogie-woogie piano recordings in particular captured Mayall's imagination, inspiring him to teach himself piano. His approach was methodical and patient. He spent a year learning to play with his left hand, then another year with his right. Quote, "So I wouldn't get all tangled up," he later explained. But the piano was just the beginning. His musical curiosity led him to learn guitar and harmonica as well, laying the groundwork for his future as a multi-instrumentalist. This diverse skill set proved invaluable in his later career. Military service and early career.
And that is talking or singing about things that have a meaning, and there's no assurance that what you're singing or talking about will actually come across or get through, because you might just not be able to find the way to do it, find the right words, it may be the wrong time or something.
Mayall's journey to becoming a professional musician was not a direct one. Like many young men of his generation, he was called up for national service and sent to Korea. It was during a period of leave from his military duties that Mayall bought his first electric guitar in Japan. Upon returning to England, he enrolled at Manchester College of Art. While pursuing his studies, he began playing with a semi-professional band called the Powerhouse 4. This experience gave him his first taste of performing regularly and honed his skills as a live musician. After graduating, he initially took a job as an art designer, but music remained his true passion, and he continued to play with local musicians whenever he could. It wasn't until 1963, at age 30, that he made the bold decision to pursue music full-time and move to London. In London, he found kindred spirits in musicians like Alexis Corner and Cyril Davies, who were at the forefront of the nascent British blues movement. The birth of the Bluesbreakers. In late 1963, Mayall formed the band that became his most enduring legacy, the Bluesbreakers. The group made its debut at the Marquee Club, quickly establishing itself as a formidable presence on the London blues scene. The original lineup included John McVie on bass and Bernie Watson on guitar, but it was the revolving door of talented musicians that came to define the Bluesbreakers in the years to come. Mayall's vision for the band was clear from the start. He wanted to create a distinctly British take on Chicago blues, infusing the raw energy and emotion of American blues with a uniquely English sensibility. This fusion would prove enormously influential, helping to shape the sound of British rock and blues for generations. The Bluesbreakers quickly gained a reputation as a breeding ground for exceptional talent. Mayall had an uncanny ability to identify and nurture gifted musicians, many of whom would go on to become rock legends in their own right. But Mayall always downplayed this aspect of his legacy. Quote, "I'm not a talent scout," he would insist. "I'm a band leader, and I know what I want to play in my band, who can be good friends of mine. It's definitely a family. It's a small kind of thing, really." The Clapton era.
Was it a case of Eric being the name to come to the Bluesbreakers, or the Bluesbreakers being the name to attract an Eric Clapton?
I don't know. He didn't like what the Yardbirds were doing when they got a hit record, and so he left. And so that opened the way for me to offer him the job with the band, so he joined.
What was his impact for that year he was with you?
Well, everybody knows Eric and what an impact he had, so it was very exciting, of course.
The Bluesbreakers' fortunes took a dramatic turn in 1965 when Eric Clapton joined the band. Clapton, fresh from his stint with the Yardbirds, was looking for a more purist blues experience. In Mayall and the Bluesbreakers, he found kindred spirits who shared his passion for Chicago blues. The partnership between Mayall and Clapton proved explosive. Their shared love for American blues, coupled with Clapton's virtuosic guitar playing, resulted in some of the most exciting British blues recordings of the era. The album Bluesbreakers with Eric Clapton, released in 1966, is widely regarded as a masterpiece of the genre and a defining moment in British blues rock. Clapton's tenure with them was relatively brief, but its impact was profound. Mayall encouraged Clapton to develop his singing voice and pushed him to new heights as a guitarist. The album's success catapulted both Mayall and Clapton to new levels of fame, with Clapton in particular achieving guitar hero status. The revolving door of talent.
There was a lot of changeovers right in the beginning, because people are always talking about Clapton and Peter Green and Mick Taylor, but Eric was in the band only less than a year, and Peter Green was only in for a year. Mick Taylor maybe was in like 2 years or something like that, but those people focus on those, whereas the majority of the years have been used up with Coco Montoya, was with me for 10 years, and then Walter Trout was in that orchestra for 3 or 4 years, and then Buddy Whittington 15 years.
While Clapton's departure to form Cream in 1966 could have been a setback for lesser band leaders, Mayall took it in stride. The band had already established itself as a fluid collective with musicians coming and going. The list of musicians who passed through reads like a who's who of British rock royalty. Peter Green went on to form Fleetwood Mac. Mick Fleetwood and John McVie, also future members of Fleetwood Mac, cut their teeth in Mayall's band. Mick Taylor, who later joined the Rolling Stones, had a significant stint with the band. Mayall's approach to band leading was unique. He gave his musicians, particularly his lead guitarists, an extraordinary amount of freedom to express themselves. Mick Taylor later recalled, quote, "You'd have complete freedom to do whatever you wanted. You could make as many mistakes as you wanted to." Musical evolution and move to America.
Where do you live these days?
California.
Yeah. Originally, you were from where?
England, but I've been in Los Angeles for 21 years now.
Oh, is that right? I didn't realize it was that long ago.
Yeah.
Why did you move?
The climate.
Yeah.
As the 60s drew to a close, Mayall began to push beyond the confines of traditional blues. His 1968 album, Blues from Laurel Canyon, signaled a new direction, both musically and geographically. It was inspired by Mayall's experiences in California, and shortly after its release, he made the decision to move permanently to the U.S. He disbanded the Bluesbreakers and began experimenting with new lineups and sounds. His 1969 album, The Turning Point, was a particular departure, featuring an acoustic quartet that included John Mark on guitar and Johnny Almond on woodwinds. The album's hit song, Room to Move, became a staple of Mayall's live shows for years to come. Throughout the 70s, Mayall continued to tour extensively, playing over 100 shows a year. But the period was also marked by personal struggles. Quote, "Throughout the 70s, I performed most of my shows drunk," he later admitted. This lifestyle led to a near-tragic incident when he attempted to jump from a balcony into a swimming pool, missed, and shattered his heel. The accident left him with a permanent limp, but also served as a wake-up call. final years and heartbreaking death.
Whoa, outrageous, thank you. I guess we're going to start playing some music for you now.
As Mayall entered into his 9th decade, he showed no signs of slowing down. He continued to tour and record, releasing albums well into his 80s. His 2014 album, A Special Life, and 2015's Find a Way to Care demonstrated his passion for the blues remained undiminished. But the relentless pace of touring began to take its toll. In his late 80s, health issues forced Mayall to cut back on his grueling tour schedule. For a man who had lived on the road for most of his life, this was a difficult adjustment. Despite the challenges, he continued making music. His final album, The Sun is Shining Down, was released in 2022 when he was 88. The album earned him his 2nd Grammy nomination. Sadly, he passed away July 22, 2024, at his home in California. He was 90. The circumstances are particularly heartbreaking. After a lifetime of tireless performance and creativity, the blues legend was forced to spend his final years away from the stage he loved so dearly. The man who had introduced the world to so many great musicians, who had been a constant presence on the blues scene for more than 60 years, was silenced. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite John Mayall song or album? Let us know in the comments section below.